I've got it set up for the narrow number 23 under the cover stitch. Here's something that you might, that I've figured out, and I did not know this before, but Lisa came in and showed me something. And this will not form a stitch. Like if you're doing an overcast, you would get the stitch formed and started. On a cover stitch, it has to have fabric in order for it to stitch. I did not know that. So here we go. What I have done is I have done a grid work on a 10 by 10 piece of fabric. I have done 2-inch grid work across this. I have a layer of batting and I have a layer of backing on there. Now, this would be really neat if you did decorative work on a purse, on the front of a purse, with some decorative thread in that. It would be really neat. There's, and you know, different things. So I'm gonna line this up. I drew the lines. I'm gonna line it up on one of the lines. You've got some guides here, and I found that if I went kind of in between these first two here, it would stitch right on either side of my line. So let's go. This is going to be my wrong side, because what I want is the decorative stitching to show on the right side. So in other words, I want this to show. That is making almost like a chain stitch type thing, cover stitch and that. So let's go, and I'm going to continue doing this as I work my way across. This is like if you have your serger set up in your shops. This would be a great demonstration that you could do. It would also, these are great samples to set out to show people the difference of the different stitches. Okay, so we're gonna go now on this one. Or how about quilting? If you wanted to do a quilt and you wanted this to actually be your quilting. You know, think outside of the box. All right, now go this side. And I probably wouldn't use a dark pen like I did on this. I did that for the purposes of you guys being able to see. Wait until you guys see how easy it is to change this over to a regular overlock. It is unbelievable. All right, now I've done that side. Now I'm going to go the opposite way. You know, this would be neat to do if you were making a jacket and you could add some texture to your jacket. You could even go, you know, closer together. But I can see this just as quilting. I think it'd be really cool on the front of a quilt. I can't believe that I didn't realize you had to put fabric underneath here. I'm such a dweeb. Couple more stitching lines. One more. Okay, so here is the narrow. This is the wrong, it's going to be the wrong side, but look at if I turn over how pretty that could be. As far as quilting even goes. It would be a really neat way of showcasing something, a purse or anything. So that is your narrow. That's number 23 on the cover stitch. Now we're going to go and we're going to move up to number 22, which is a 3-thread wide cover stitch. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to number 22. So if you look at here, I'm going to go to this icon right here. I'll touch that. I'll X out of here, and I'm going to go back to the cover stitch, and I'm going to highlight 22. Now this is a 3-thread cover stitch wide. So we're going to set it up. I'm going to run through this tutorial just like I did the other one. So it says to lift my presser foot. It is lifted. I'm going to bring my needles up to the top, and I'm going to try and get that. Now let's see here. We got to cut all of these threads anyway, so we'll cut them. There we go. All right, so we're going to go to the next one. It says unthread the following thread path. So it wants me to unthread CC, which is this one right here. So I'll unthread that one. And I can go ahead. It's my green thread, so it would be this thread here. And I can pull that through. Now it's going to tell me to put on my cover stitch foot, which we've already done. I have it set at 4. Now it wants me to have the left needle and the right cover stitch needle. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go over here. So we'll move this stitch, this needle out. Bring it out, tighten that back up. Remember, don't tighten it, don't put a real hard torque on it, but you do want it tightened because they'll vibrate to come out. And you don't want to get that little screw out of there. So now let's loosen up this one, which is the right. The flat goes to the back. I can see in the window, there's a window right here, and I can see that needle went up. So I'll tighten it down. Can you go tomorrow? Like that. All right, so I have the left cover stitch needle and the right cover stitch needle in. Now let's move forward. We've already deactivated the knife. We've already set the stitch width at 5. We've got our cover stitch plate on. We've deactivated the upper looper. There's no setting for the upper looper. We're already at 0. And now it's saying that we're going to thread it the following way. So the yellow, my yellow thread is going to go into the left side, which is already threaded. My right needle is the blue this time, not the green. So I'm going to put that right into the blue, and we will come all the way over. I'll go back up in here. There's the blue there. Go up to the top. This area here is when you're working cover stitch. These here are when you're working, doing your overlocker. Then we come back down and up and around, and we want to go into this right. And we'll put that in here. And I can pop that right in there. Like that. And then we'll grab this. And let's put all of our threads underneath. Like that. Okay, now I can hit the green check button. And it tells me exactly what has been threaded. It shows me that the left cover stitch this is the tension, the right, and then my lower loop, the blue, or the purple, which is right here, which is the lower looper for the cover stitch, all right? So now we're going to go, and I did the exact same thing on with this piece of fabric. It's 10 by 10, 2 pieces of the muslin and a piece of batting in there in between. And we're going to go ahead and stitch this, remembering that it will not form a stitch until I put fabric under it. That was an embarrassing moment. Okay, now what I'm seeing is I'm going to line up, I think, this little center notch on the line, and let's see how that looks. Pretty good. Cut my threads. Now, this machine also has a knee lift. So instead of me doing like this or raising the back presser, if I had the knee lift in here, I could just push that with my leg and it would lift my foot, which I use that all the time on my sewing. I actually prefer the knee lift over the hover. Okay, and let's go to the next one. I do believe at some point the serger's coming home with me. I have resisted it, but I don't think I can resist it much longer. I use a serger. I do different, if I'm making curtains or making purses, I like to serge my seams. I also do some sewing too, some regular clothing and that. So a serger has always had a place in my house. I will say this though, I have never had a cover stitch, and I really like the cover stitch, especially if you're wanting to do, I did a knit top with this machine. I cut it out and sewed it all up, and I had that shirt done in less than an hour. So now I'm going to go ahead. I've done all the way across here. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to do this way. And then we'll compare these stitches. Another thing that you can do when my kids were having babies, I used to make the baby's crib flannel sheets, and I could make a flannel sheet in probably less than a half an hour on the serger. And that was putting the elastic all the way around, because there's different feet that you can get for your serger. You can put, there's a beading foot, there's a blind hem foot that you can use. There is elasticator, it's called, that puts elastic in. There's a gathering foot. There's a lot of different feet that you can use on a serger to do multiple things. We are going to have an event in November with our sergers, with this particular serger. And we have somebody coming in, her name is Nancy Bednar, and she's coming in to teach this event for us. And I am really looking forward to it. One more row here, and we'll compare them. Now, if I was doing this for a sample on the floor, which we will be having these on the floor to show people, I would of course serge all the way around this when I got done with these. Now here is the, this is the narrow, and then this is the wide. And you can see the difference. And it would just depend on what you're looking, how you're looking to decorate, or whatever you're trying to accomplish. One isn't better than the other, it's just different. So it reminds me, this side reminds me of when we used to use twin needles. And you could buy twin needles that have different widths in them. And so making, using them and using the twin needle, really, you can do some really cool decorative stitching with twin needles. Sometimes we just have to get outside of the box and do things different with our machines, because our machines can do it and we just don't usually use it. So now we're going to go, and we're going to go to number 16, and I'll go ahead and get things started to get set up, and then we'll be right back.